Welcome to the Crimson Engine. My name is 𝙎𝙁𝙇𝙈𝙆𝙆. Today we are talking about cameras and why I chose to shoot my feature film with the Canon C500 rather than the better ARRI Alexa Mini LF, even though we could afford the LF. Why do we go with the Canon? Let's find out. So the Alexa is the dominant camera platform in professional Hollywood feature films. Apart from celluloid, which is really making a comeback, the Mini and the Mini LF are responsible for, I don't know, 80% of films shot digitally, with the other 20% being divided among RED and a bunch of other camera systems. So when it came time to shoot The Devil's Fortune, I had to make the decision of which camera do I want to use. Now, we had money to rent an Alexa, either an Alexa Mini or a Mini LF, or an Alexa Classic, because we're delivering this film in 2K, not 4K, so we didn't need the extra resolution. But after a lot of tests and a lot of thought and a lot of discussion, we chose to go with the Canon C500 Mk2. And there were a couple of big reasons. The first one was I knew the Canon system better. I knew what it was capable of. I knew that I was able to get the images that I wanted. I knew that it had the latitude for the kind of shots that we wanted. All of those things, and I knew how to operate it, as did the cinematographer. I knew that the Alexa is capable of all of those things. I just wasn't as confident that I could get the result that I wanted from a camera that I'd barely worked with. I have shot with the Alexa. It's a beautiful image. It's great color science, no doubt. But it was this wild card, and too many times I've seen people go with more expensive gear than they used to because they think they're trading up, but they don't have the corresponding expertise to use that gear. So they end up with a worse result than if they'd stuck with what they knew. The second reason is that the Canon cinema platform is very much made for single shooters or small crew. We had the DP who was operating, we had a focus puller, and we had one gaffer. The Alexa system, because it comes from film cameras, is much better suited for a larger team. It doesn't have focus assist, which the C500 does, which is not autofocus, but uses the camera's inbuilt autofocus, which Alexa doesn't have, in order to tell you when your image is sharp and when it's not. So the C500 actually does have some features that we found very, very useful the Alexa lacks. The third reason was cost. Even though we could afford the Alexa, we had money in the budget to pay the $800–900 per day that it cost to rent the Alexa LF, we realized that that money was better spent on better set of lenses. So rather than shooting on the Canon CNEs, we went for the Canon Sumi-Rays, which give a much more elevated, much more interesting looking image, and as a result the look of the film really benefited. So it's not always about pure cost, though. When the money that you save on a camera body, if you're not going to use the things that that camera body does, you can then put into other parts of your camera gear, like an extra assistant, in our case our focus puller, a remote follow focus system, better lenses, more lights, more time. When you're an independent filmmaker, all of those things make a big difference. And I felt that having those assets was more valuable than having the Alexa body. The fourth thing is the law of diminishing returns. The Alexa Mini LF, $70–80,000 camera, I think, and the C500 Mk2 is a $15,000 or $16,000 camera. But that doesn't mean the Alexa is 5 times as good. It's actually only 10 or even 5% better as far as image quality goes, in my opinion anyway. The Alexa undoubtedly has more dynamic range. It has 14 stops versus 13.1 stops according to the CineD lab tests. But since most of this film takes place in interiors or at night, and you're not using that dynamic range where you're trying to match dark interiors to bright exteriors, I felt that for our film at least, the C500 Mark II was a better choice. Now, if I was shooting a Western where I was going to have people going from indoors to outdoors, like the Coens did on The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, they got a special exemption from the Netflix camera guidelines to be able to shoot on Alexa because they wanted that extra dynamic range, and that served that story really well. That genre needs all the dynamic range that you can get. But for what I was shooting, lots of interiors, day and night, and lots of dark exteriors where we're shooting with like 6 to 8 stops of ND to keep the effect moody. The C500 Mark II was the perfect camera. So at the end of the day, there's no such thing as the best camera overall. There's only the best camera for the shot that you're trying to get, for the scene that you're shooting, or the film and story that you're trying to tell. I think too many people just accept on face value the industry knowledge that you can never go wrong with Alexa without actually testing and breaking down what their particular needs are. If you're interested on how to get the most out of Canon cameras and how we were able to shoot with the C500 Mark II and get the result that we got, check out CanonMasterclass.com. There is a C500 Masterclass to get you up and running in no time and get an amazing result, much quicker than you would by trial and error. There's also a ton of other courses there about other cameras and other aspects of filmmaking. And there is now a subscription plan where you can watch the entire site for just $14 a month. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.